Trump says US talks with Iran, very good, more negotiations expected. Iran says to hold more talks with US despite Trump military threats. Egypt tells international oil firms to double output by 2030. Energean CEO. Thailand election. The result the polls never saw coming. Justice still out of reach despite millions of files. Epstein victims. US President Donald Trump said Washington held very good talks with Iran after the two sides conducted indirect negotiations in Oman. Iran said the discussions took place in a, quote, positive atmosphere and that further negotiations with the United States are expected. The talks, held in Muscat and mediated by Oman, were conducted without US and Iranian officials meeting face-to-face. They marked the first dialogue between the two countries since the United States joined Israel's conflict with Iran in June, including strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Shortly after the talks ended, Washington announced new sanctions targeting shipping companies and vessels linked to Iran's oil exports, though it was unclear whether the move was directly connected to the negotiations. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, Trump said the two sides would meet again early next week but warned that failure to reach an agreement would have serious consequences. If they don't make a deal, the consequences are very steep, Trump said. Iran said on Friday it expects further negotiations with the United States after indirect talks in Oman, seen as a crucial opportunity to ease tensions following US threats of possible military action. The talks were held in Muscat and mediated by Oman, with US and Iranian delegations meeting indirectly as an American aircraft carrier group remained deployed in Middle Eastern waters. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, who led Tehran's delegation, said discussions focused exclusively on Iran's nuclear program. He rejected US calls to expand the agenda to include Iran's ballistic missiles, regional alliances, or domestic issues. The talks marked the first engagement between the two sides since the United States joined Israel's military campaign against Iran in June, including strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. They also came weeks after a deadly crackdown on protests inside Iran, according to rights groups. The U.S. delegation was led by Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff, accompanied by President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner. Araghchi described the atmosphere as positive, saying both sides exchanged views and agreed in principle to continue negotiations, with details on timing and format to be decided after consultations in their respective capitals. In a sign of the talks, high stakes, Brad Cooper, head of U.S. Central Command, was present, according to images released by Omani state media. A source familiar with the discussions said the meetings took place at the residence of Omani Foreign Minister Badr al-Busaidi. Egypt has instructed international oil companies to double energy production by 2030, according to Nicholas Kacherov, the chief executive of Energean International. Speaking to Reuters, Kacherov said existing contracts need to be revised to attract fresh investment, as low domestic gas prices that supported earlier development phases are no longer viable. He said there is a significant gap between Egypt's domestic gas prices and the higher cost of imported gas, making new investment unattractive under current terms. Updated pricing, he said, would encourage companies to invest in existing or brownfield production sites. Kacherov added that Energean is owed more than $200 million by Egypt but has recently received $80 million. He said the company remains confident the government will settle the remaining arrears, following assurances from Egypt's petroleum minister. He also said natural gas flows from Israel to Egypt have increased, with the pipeline now operating at full capacity. Egypt's petroleum ministry did not immediately comment on the remarks. Thailand's election result delivered a surprise victory for Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul, defying opinion polls that had predicted a clear win for the Progressive People's Party. Most pre-election surveys suggested the People's Party could win more than 200 seats, building on its strong 2023 performance under its former incarnation Move Forward. Few polls placed Anutin's Bumjaitai party in the lead. However, once votes were counted, Anutin emerged with a projected total of more than 190 seats, putting Bumjaitai in a strong position to form the next government with coalition partners. the reformists suffered a significant setback. Analysts point to Thailand's mixed voting system as a key factor. Voters cast 2 ballots, one for a local candidate and one for a party list. While the People's Party won more votes nationwide on the party list, these seats make up only 20% of parliament. The remaining 80% are decided by constituency races, where the People's Party struggled due to its limited rural presence. By contrast, Bumjaitai has deep provincial networks and strong ties to local power brokers, who play a major role in influencing voters. Anutin has also expanded his party by attracting veteran politicians from other parties, transforming Bumjaitai from a regional force into a nationwide contender. The U.S. Department of Justice has come under heavy criticism after errors in the release of newly unsealed files related to Jeffrey Epstein exposed sensitive information about victims. On January 30th, the Justice Department published a new tranche of around 3 million documents. At the time, Deputy U.S. Attorney General Todd Blanche said the release was intended to help bring closure for Epstein's victims. However, days later, the department was forced to remove thousands of files after faulty redactions revealed the identities of some victims who had never previously been named publicly. The documents included emails, victim statements, nude images, and bank account details. The Justice Department said the disclosures were the result of technical or human error. Several Epstein survivors said the incident caused serious harm. Ashley Rubright told the BBC she was heartbroken by the release of victims' personal information, calling it a major violation of their privacy. Another survivor, Annie Farmer, said the damage done by the exposure had overshadowed any new revelations from the files. Campaigners warn the mistake could have wider consequences, potentially discouraging victims of trafficking and sexual abuse from coming forward.